Hey, we're live. Hi. Hopefully the audio sounds good. I haven't touched the levels since I did this like 2 weeks ago. Even though my plan was I want to do like a weekly thing. I want to do a lot of things that just never come to fruition. I'm in the middle of a lot of things that haven't come to fruition yet that I'm, in the process of doing. But yeah, so just a little checking in show. And I have it set up so that later I can actually show. See? So I'll have a web page up for what I want to discuss, and hopefully that'll work. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little checking in, see how everyone is, just talk about some things that I wanted to, you know, share or I've had on my mind. And yeah, keeping it casual. I would love to do this with Flex. He and I used to have like a weekly show where we talk about like movies and games and television and life and whatnot. But my biggest problem is like setting a schedule. It is what I struggle with the most. So until we get into the regularity of like here at the same time, it's just going to have to be whenever. But yeah, so today I just wanted to talk about. Oh, hi, Bulrush. How are you? Yeah, so today I saw an article. Well, before I get onto that, my topic, I sort of had in mind, I was like, let me make this like a talk show where we could like talk about a topic and then, maybe help people along. So I'm the sort of person that I really want to see people flourish. So I haven't in some time, but I did one-on-one coaching sessions with people where I teach them how to improve their communication skills and learn how to speak more confidently with other people, learn how to make friends. Basically, just kind of like a life coach, but focused purely on improving your social skills. So, like a social skills coach. And I've just always been this sort of person where I want to see people make the best of their lives. So I like to give like a lot of advice, but not unsolicited advice. Just if you need advice, I will give it to you. But so that's kind of where I'm coming from with my idea about doing this weekly is just a little kind of friendly nudge to help remind people like, hey, we're all just doing the best that we can. And if there's an area in our life that's lacking or that we need help on, we can sort of be encouraged and, talk about it. Hi, Jagga. Jagga is one of my favorite people ever. Yeah, so today's topic, I wanted to talk about apologizing because this is something that I actually spoke about with Flex earlier this week. I was like, it is so difficult because my niece is 3 years old and she loves me, but sometimes she loves me like aggressively. And so she like took a piece of paper and she like slapped it on my arm. And of course it didn't hurt at all, right? But I feigned pain. I was like, "Oh, why did you do that? Why would you hurt me?" And then she got kind of quiet and she came up, she's like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "That's okay. Just, when you're really excited, just don't hit other people." And it made me think, we teach kids how to say, "I'm sorry," even if it is sort of this somewhat guilt tripping type of way, but it's just to basically teach them hey, if you do something rude or if you hurt someone or you do something bad, you say you're sorry. But the whole concept of that is really interesting. Like, why do we say we're sorry? Like, why do we apologize for things? Think about that. And well, I think it's because really well integrated people can apologize, even if you don't necessarily think you've done anything wrong. Like sometimes, when you're in the store, you bump shoulders with someone. Oh, you're like, I'm sorry. So I'm one of those people. If I tend to step on someone's foot or if I get in someone's way, I'll apologize. I was at a point I was like, I'm just going to start saying pardon me because I don't necessarily, I wanted to say sorry less because I feel like I say sorry so much. If I um, I'm not able to attend someone's function. I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry." Like that's me. I'm always saying I'm sorry. But it's more so of a just because it's polite, right? But I thought it was really interesting how we teach kids how to apologize and not to do things. But for adults, there really isn't this constant like who's reminding us to apologize as an adult. I don't think I don't think that's there. And then when you do say it, if you do ask someone, "Hey, are you going to apologize?" I don't know. There's just something really juvenile about it that I don't know if there's any adult equivalent of that. But I was thinking to let others know you care, that you hurt them, and provides confidence that you will do what you can to be safe and loving going forward. That is such a beautiful. See, Jagga, that is such a beautiful sentiment, and that's exactly what I think. It's not so much for your own self. It's to show someone else, right? It's part of the like social contract. When you are out about or when you're interacting with other people, it's not so much to absolve you as much as it is to let others know, like, hey, I'm aware of what happened and I I'm sorry. So I wanted to talk about apologies just in general because I feel like it's not something we're really encouraged to do as adults. And it's something that honestly is so, it's just when you have these obstacles, like pride is a huge one. People don't want to apologize. And you see this with kids, the stubbornness with, I don't want to say I'm sorry. I didn't do anything. You see, as adults, we're like, I didn't do anything. I'm not going to apologize. It's like, what's the point of holding on to that pride? Just it's not for you as much as it is for the other person. So thank you, Jugga. That's like a really eloquent way to say that. It's not for to make myself feel better. It's just to let the other person know that I'm being courteous of their feelings. So how do we apologize as adults in a way that isn't going to make, you know, these half-assed apologies like, geez, I'm sorry, okay? What do you want me to do? Like, wow. I heard no sincerity in that delivery. There's nothing sincere about what you just said. Like, it's just empty words at that point. It really doesn't take, it's so funny how simple it is just to kind of humble yourself and say, oh, you know what? I really apologize. I had to do this all the time at work because I forgot a lot of things. And sometimes I dropped the ball. And it was so, I'd have to like, it wasn't so much that I didn't have this reservation about apologizing as much as I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that I forgot to do this thing that now I've got to psych myself up to go tell my boss, like, hey, my bad. But it's necessary to do that, right? It's just better to get it out of the way. It's just do it. And so I'd often go into his office and I wouldn't follow up with an excuse or anything like that. It's like, hey, would I be able to talk to you for a moment? This is on me and I accept full responsibility for this oversight, but I didn't realize that I hadn't yet filed this document. I'm going to go ahead and do this right now, make it my priority, but would you, because a lot of times I'd like need his signature or something like that. So it's not like I could do it under, his nose. I'd have to keep him in the loop. And honestly, it's just better to be honest about stuff like that. So coming at it from a point like that, I got really used to having to do that at work. And it kind of takes the shame, that feeling of like, oh, this is on me. I feel bad. I feel embarrassed. It kind of takes the shame out of it if you force yourself to do it and you do it in a way that's just honest. I didn't have to come up, I've been so busy. I didn't see this. So no, there's none of that. Just accept responsibility. It is a practice in humility, but I think it's something as adults that would really help us just go through life easier, have an easier time with work, have an easier time with our relationships. You don't necessarily need to come to the argument full of excuses and, oh, well, this is why. No, just a little bit of humbleness and humility. But where are we being trained to do this? Like, who is giving us this advice? So That is what I kind of want my show to be. I want this show to be a little bit of advice from like your big sister who's just reminding you, hey, if you do this, I think it'll make life easier for you. Hi, Needle. Streamer for president. Oh, gee. You know, politics would hate me because I would do like a full grassroots campaign. I'd be like, no money, no donations, no political donors. Don't wave your dollar bill at me. Yeah, I'd get like someone would throw a cane around my neck and pull me off stage real quick. Hi, Black Rocker. I see you're wearing your floral camouflage to blend in with your surroundings. Oh yeah, that's right. My wallpaper around me. That is funny, actually, to kind of blend in. Yeah, so that is my little thing about apologies. And how do we say we're sorry? So when I was talking with Flex the other day, and we were talking about times in which I'm sure we all know people in life that are, I have people that I know that are just, they're way too proud to apologize. And for me, I don't care. You know, I'm not here to make someone grovel and like, no, I'm the sort of person I would accept absolutely any kind of sincere apology. But when you don't get that, then it just, makes things even worse. But we were talking about when someone is so high up, if you're the type of person, you're very proud, very haughty, and you're so high up here, when you have to apologize and you have to kind of bring yourself down, this is a much larger gap to meet, right? Going from here and having to go here is going to make you feel a lot worse. So if you kind of stay like right here, stay a little bit above, right? You're not so incredibly just like chest puffed out, so important that you're going to have to come down the entire ladder rung to apologize. So just, keep yourself, keep a little bit of humility about you that way. Because if you're a know-it-all and you have this type of personality, it's going to be so much more difficult. And then you don't want that reputation. So I just want, like I said, I want everyone to be able to excel in life. And this is one of the marks of someone, I'm sure we all know really good people, that this is one of the traits that they have, is they just apologize. So this is my reminder to us to be able to do that, and to do it in a way that's sincere. And I'm sure there's someone out there who, if you take this advice, is really going to appreciate it one day. So yes, that is my thing about apologizing and why we should do it more often. My first apology was because I would ruin surprises for people. I would see people receiving a surprise and wanted to replicate that, but I did not understand yet that the surprise was not mine to take and give. Wow. So you would tell people like, hey, they're throwing you the party, or okay, yeah, I could see someone would probably be really upset with you doing that. But you know what? The fact that you realize that, yeah, it isn't. It's not something. I think, you know what? I think my old boss did that too. Like he would blurt out news that wasn't his to tell. And yeah, there's something really upsetting. Like, oh, geez, there was a time and a place for that. So, Jagga, you're absolved of your sins. My problem was that I apologized for things that I shouldn't apologize for. Black Rocker. Yes, that is another thing as well. Is that sort of when people have this, I guess, kind of pushover personality. And I know someone like this too, where it's like, oh, no, it's my fault. It's my fault. Like, no, it's not your fault. This is no one's fault. And especially don't take the blame for something that someone else is doing to you. I hate when that happens, because there's some really, really good people out there who allow themselves to, of no fault of their own too. It's not like they willingly, come step on me. It's just that they're nice people and they tend to be taken advantage of. Yeah, that's something that I think just having the confidence in yourself and knowing your boundaries would help, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where people recognize like, oh, hey, I could take advantage of that guy. Like, no, don't worry. That's something that you can just kind of set a boundary and say, you know what? Actually, no, I didn't have anything to do with that, so I'm not going to say I'm sorry. An alternative to that or apologizing is, that's a really unfortunate situation. I'm going to hope things are getting better for you and that you have resources to make it work, instead of something like, oh, geez, I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something. You see the difference there? And this is back to what I said about saying I'm sorry as a casual expression, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. Or I'm so sorry you didn't get to work on time, whatever. Just, oh my gosh, that's awful. Is there anything I can do to make it better? Something like that, so where you don't have to use the phrase so often. I think that would help you too. That way you can kind of get um, this confident mentality that not everything is your fault and you don't have to apologize for things that you had nothing to do with. Hi, Super Potion. Oh my goodness, podcast kite time. Yes, it is podcast time. I was talking about how I wanted to do this show at least like weekly, where we talk about kind of just life improvement stuff from a big sister type angle. Like I want to see people flourish, and we're talking about apologies today. And it's never too late to say I'm sorry, by the way, too. This is a true story. So I had a best friend growing up, and I mean, she was like my sister. I've known her all my life. And we were so close. I mean, we worked together at one point, and then even after spending 8 hours at work, we go hang out after. I mean, I loved her. I still love her. But some things happened, and we kind of grew a little bit distant. Some things happened in her life, and I didn't take that very well because I took it really personally. And instead of every single time I'd try to check in, I'd get shut down. And this was a moment where my pride kind of stood in the way, instead of being more adamant about, hey, all right, you said nothing is wrong. You have said nothing is wrong, but I can tell. I know you. Let's go out, just you and I, one-on-one. And, if you want to come over to my house and we'll talk. Looking back, being able to have that kind of maturity and insistence on getting someone to open up when you know something is wrong. I wish, everything's like hindsight, right? You can't regret what happened, because we grow more mature. We learn from experiences, but I wish that is how I had handled it back then. But instead I got really offended on behalf of myself. Like, how dare she treat me like this? Like, I'm a really good friend. I don't deserve this. And so that further deepened this wedge, this unspoken issue that I still don't really even know what happened, because I never pushed it hard enough and she was never forthcoming. And so we had this invisible divide that kept pushing us further and further apart, until the point where, we just never really spoke anymore. And that was... it was like a couple years before I saw a therapist for some issues that I was struggling with in my life. And she was talking about, we did the ADHD diagnosis and the behavioral issues that can cause. And I called her on the phone and I apologized. I said, I want to let you know, I just started seeing a therapist and it's been really enlightening, but I feel like I could have been more honest about wanting to know what happened. I could have been more open and I could have had better communication. And I'm sorry that I didn't. And she accepted it. And she also apologized too. Like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm also at fault for letting things go this way. No, it didn't necessarily, we don't talk. I think the last time I checked in with her was like a couple years ago. It was, but it's sad. Like, the friendship kind of ended despite the apology, right? Despite reaching out. It wasn't that I wanted, I'm going to apologize and everything's going to be fine. It's going to just be this cure-all. We're going to go back to being friends. Sometimes, like, things happen, right? People's lives change and we go our separate ways. But I at least wanted, for the sake of our friendship and our history, I wanted to apologize for not handling it better. And that's just an example of how I don't really think there should be a time limit or an expiration. Oh, so much time has passed. So much time has passed. It probably, what's the point? It's just going to rehash. It's just to let her know that I cared enough and I had enough self-awareness to realize that I could have handled things better. I also realized I'm going to plug in my Ethernet because last time I was doing this, it was going in and out. So let me plug that in real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, last time I did this, I remember it would like randomly stop. I had like 5 streams or something. Then I deleted the other ones and yeah. So let me scroll back here real quick. Like, you know the saying, they cut you and want you to apologize for bleeding. I was the one apologizing when they cut me. I would even apologize for apologizing. Block rocker. That checks out though, because you're a very sweet person. And I think nice people tend to have the like over concern that they don't want to hurt someone or they want to make really sure. So I don't even, that's not something like I would fault you for. Is like, oh, you have to change that. I would just tell you, I want you to feel like you're not being taken advantage of. But I wouldn't change a sweet person. We need more sweet people in the world. We really do. We don't have enough of them. So I'm going to tell you personally not to change. I just want you to feel confident. That would be my stance for you. Anyone want to dance? Yeah, always. You know, I actually, we took dance lessons and we did, it was ballroom dancing. My favorite was, I loved the tango. The tango is just very quick and it was just like, so fluid, like so beautiful. Let's see. Okay. This is a lovely comment. Ancient plebe wisdom says, sometimes we apologize not because the person fully deserves it, but because we want to keep the person in our lives. Sorry. That kind of made me tear up because, yeah, I was kind of at that point where I was at a bad point with my dad last year. And it was sort of like, you know, 2 immovable forces. And I realized I was like, he's not going to budge. Sorry. But I realized like if I wanted to keep him in my life, I'd have to be the one to kind of like be willing to show a little bit of room and compromise, even though I didn't feel I needed to. I felt like I deserved that. And you're right, though. It wasn't because I didn't concede because I thought, oh, he's the bigger person. Oh, he has... It wasn't because of that. It was because I love my dad. And I realized, I had the realization that he wasn't going to budge. And so I had to kind of swallow my pride, swallow what I thought was right and what I thought was deserved. And I had to put that behind me and say, okay, well, if I, want to keep my dad in my life at this, I'm going to have to be the adult, which is so crazy when you think about, I don't know if anyone else out there, you hold your parents to these standards where you think like they should know better. Well, we're all adults now, you know. I'm just as much of an adult as my father. Being older doesn't necessarily mean like you're going to act more mature or you're going to know better. You have more experience, but you might not necessarily know better. So, yeah, that kind of struck a chord with me. And that is very real. Sometimes we will have to compromise, not for us, not because we believe it is right, but for the sake of the other person. And I think it takes a very, like, you can tell when you do that for someone that you really love them. And I think that's important. And I don't ever want to become the person where I can't do that. So I think that's good. That's a really good comment. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. I saw a dialogue in a show I love that touched on the opposite of what you were discussing. A, are you okay? B, I'm okay. A, are you really okay? Or is that you're not ready to talk about it yet? B, the second one. Oh, I like that. Yes, and that's what people mean when they're like, "Hey," and this is when I find out a friend is going through something difficult. They don't necessarily need to expand on that or, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm just having a really bad week." I always offer, "Hey, is there anything I can do to help?" Or, "If you'd like to talk about it, I'm here." And usually they'll never follow up on I want to talk about it. I think it's just a matter of checking in and showing that you care. Like my friend, I am so emotional. So if you're gonna have to apologize, I'm probably gonna get teary-eyed. But I have a friend. I met her at the law firm, and she's like my sister. She's seriously like this. You meet those people and they're like so genuinely just like their insides are like sunshine and rainbows. She is so sweet. I love this woman. I told her recently, we both mutually told you, she was like, I would die for you. Do you know that? I would die for you. We're very much like Lord of the Rings, going up to Mount Doom together. I love this woman. She's my sister. And she told me that her dog is in the end stages of life and has cancer. And she told me that she was going to be MIA and, hey, I don't want to be on my phone. I just want to unplug and be with her. And I completely understand and empathize with that. I'm the same way when I'm going through something. I don't really want to be on my phone. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to see people. So I sent her a message just telling her that I loved her and please absolutely spend as much time with her as she can, if there's anything at all I can do. And then the next day, I was thinking about her. And I kind of had this thing, was like, I don't want to reach out to her I don't want to reach out to her and make her feel like she has to respond to me. So I just sent her a message like, hey, my darling friend, I love you. I'm thinking about you. No need to respond. And she did respond anyway because she's just that sweet. But that was an instance of where I was like, I kind of was like, she said she's going to be away from her phone. She wants to unplug. I'm going to respect her wishes, but I also want her to know that I'm thinking about her and I love her. So I think you can do things in a way where you're not too pushy. There are some people too that don't understand the process of grieving and being alone. They take that offensively too. Like, oh, wait, you're not allowed to be alone. I mean, can you imagine if I was like, the worst thing you can do right now is be alone. Let's go out together. Let's get your mind off of it. And God bless them. There are people like that. But I think that is their own personal inability to be able to handle sadness in a way that's just kind of quiet and reserved. Some people are like, oh, Gotta go. No time to be sad. Um, so yeah, I just listen. It takes nothing to be nice and kind and thoughtful, and if I can remind someone to do that or teach someone to do that in just a small way, then imagine we just have a bunch of people that are just kind. And that's kind of all I want to. That's all I want to really encourage people to do. Um, Logic fan, do you understand your dad as a person? Do I understand him as a person? I think I do. Um, yeah, because I'm one of the people where I will sort of have to put myself in someone's shoes to try and um, give my own logic for where they are in their life. Like, my dad is this way because of XYZ, because his his dad was very, very just like reserved, tight-lipped. He came from a generation where they don't talk about things, where there is this element of pride, where saying I'm sorry or hey, I'm at fault is admitting you made a mistake and I can't make a mistake. So I understand why it is difficult, but we do difficult things all the time and we learn. Just this past week, I was replacing light fixtures in my porch. And I had never done this before. And I get a little freaked out about electricity. So I like to be really, really careful. So I have like electrician gloves. I have a little tester. It's like a little electronic pen that's battery operated that you can turn on and you can put up to a light fixture or an outlet or a wire. And it will turn red if there's like live electricity flowing through it. So I'm like very, very paranoid and careful. Turn the switch off, turn the breaker off, put my gloves on, have the tester, beep. If it's green, okay, it's good. So anyways, I wanted to change them out, but I was like, oh, maybe I should just hire an electrician because I've never done this before and I'm a little nervous. And I took off one of them and it looked weird on the inside. There was like multiple wires and there should only be like 3. So as nervous as I was about it, I watched videos, I watched tutorials, I read the instructions. I even posted on the Ask Electricians subreddit, which is a great subreddit if you have electrical questions. So I posted a question there, they answered it, and then I did it, and guess what? They're flawless, they're beautiful. Now they turn on, they turn off. No fires, nothing, no weird noises. Everything's great, grounded. But I overcame that fear. I taught myself how to do it with the help of other people, tutorials out there. Hey, how do I change a light fixture? What happens if I have multiple wires? And it's just that sort of being able to, search for something and have people that have experience share their knowledge, go through it, and help you that's really amazing when you think about it. Like, wow. We just have really infinite resources out there of people that have shared ways in which they've done something and they want to help someone else. I love that. But see, there should be something like that for, hey, how do I apologize? How do I get along with, there should be something like that. I don't think there is. I know there's like I've seen plenty of little accounts where it's like, you'll have a short, here's 3 ways to apologize, which I'm sure that has helped somebody. That's just, I can't, that's not me. I'm very long-winded. I'm very roundabout. I like to take the scenic route in the things that I do. So, yeah. Light fixtures. I imagine you with gloves, body armor, football helmet, bubble wrap. That was very much it. I was very, very protective because I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not getting shocked. Everything will be done right. I've been badly electrocuted a couple times from welding. It's not pleasant. Oh my God. Wait, from welding? How did you get electrocuted from welding? I saw my neighbor that was welding like 2 weeks ago. We were walking the dogs. Flex was like, don't look at it. Don't look at the light. And of course, because part of me was like, oh, out of the corner of my eye, I could see the bright. I didn't look at it. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. He's like, they should not be doing that in the neighborhood because it's like, it can blind you. You have those welder's masks. They pull over. But yeah, I forgot I need to report that to the HOA. look, I'm not a snitch when it comes to people, leaving their trash cans out or stuff. But if you're doing something dangerous, there could have been a child that walked by or just a regular person, not to prioritize a child's eyesight over a grown person's eyesight. But yeah, that reminds me, I should say no welding in the neighborhood. Please do it somewhere else where people aren't going to personally get blinded. Is that an actual wall behind you or a background? Yeah, no, this is actual wall. It's wallpaper. I did this too. And there's some little things like this little seam right here. I'm not sure you can see, but yeah, there's some little things that I would change on it. This was difficult though. This was like, oh, yeah. Next time I need to like fully lay out my space. You know how sometimes you go to do something and you don't have the proper space for it? You're like, oh, let me just, yeah. Don't wallpaper without proper space because you need to like these big sheets of it. You need to be able to lay down and prepare. Anyway, so that was what I wanted to talk about. Just apologizing. So I did see this interesting, here we go, article the other day. Does this work? Okay, here we go. This came up on Reddit. It said, in Sweden, young adults feel most dissatisfied while the oldest thrive. Young adults in Sweden feel significantly worse than older people in almost all areas of life. While older Swedes rank among the happiest in the world, young adults struggle with loneliness and psychological distress. And so this was just a little excerpt about the study. And I pulled up the actual study because this doesn't really get into too much. It's just like basically a little brief. It's a little brief, what's it called? Recap. So this says, Sweden is one of the few countries where young adults have the lowest well-being of all age groups, while the oldest report the highest life satisfaction. The loneliness among young people is also striking. In many other countries, it is instead older people who feel the loneliest. We need to do more to understand and reverse this trend for young adults. And so I pulled up the study and they asked questions that were part of the report. So like happiness, at peace, life balance, life evaluation, purpose, meaning. This is interesting. Promoting good. I always act to promote good in all circumstances, even in difficult and challenging situations. I'm always able to give up some happiness now for greater happiness later. And then they go into depression, anxiety, suffering, pain, social relationship. So really interesting things that they looked at here. And then they had, let me get down to the graph. So you can see the different breakdown of the groups that they looked at. And here's the chart. So you can see for the younger they were, for the most part, the less in categories they scored versus, versus higher, like here, psychological distress. And you see a great difference with the younger you are versus the older. You're like, okay, that's pretty significant. And I thought this was a really interesting, I haven't read all 28 pages, but financial well-being. So, and in my mind too, it's interesting because, I think of Sweden as like, oh, in America, we're kind of like, oh yeah, it makes sense that, I think overall America has this sort of reputation of just being like kind of a mess. And the people are really like, everyone's on, some sort of, they're in therapy or they're on some sort of drug or whatever. But I thought I was like, wow, pretty interesting because it talks briefly about how Sweden has like a lot of social resources and whatnot to be made available. And that's why some of the older generations feel so happy. But yeah, that was an interesting study. Oh, there we go. And you can go look it up if you'd like. I do plan on reading that report in full just because I want to learn more. But I find that really, really sad that there is such a divide between younger adults and older adults when the factors are like happiness, loneliness, our social connections. Do we feel like we have a future to work toward and whatnot? Is really sad. I want to read the article to see if they had any kind of suggestions, because it's one thing to study this, but it's another if we don't have any idea as to what would make people happier. And so for me, no, I don't fall into that youngest category, but I'd say, in my 30s, have I gotten predominantly more or less happy, which is weird because according, those graphs, you'd think it would be going up. Well, that was, of course, Sweden. That's a different group of people. But for me, I feel like I've become more anxious, more depressed. I don't know if you've noticed, like I've been having to take a lot of deep breaths because sometimes I'll have to do this. I'll just like take a gulp and just kind of like center myself. But I feel like I've developed severe, just general kind of, I used to be a lot happier. And so this is an interesting trend, and maybe I don't know how many of my peers in my same age group would feel, but I feel like compared to younger, the older I get, the more unhappy, the more distressed. So kind of the opposite of this Sweden survey. I'm getting worse. I'm developing fears and difficulties that I didn't have at all when I was younger. So yeah, that's interesting. Most problems are the result of ignorance of some sort. Sometimes you have to become a detective and first figure out what you've been missing before you can deal with the actual problem. Yeah, that's true. And I think that goes for like a lot of health issues. I see this people trying to like, I think there's this movement, it's called like biohacking, where you try to figure out the best way to like improve your life, your body, your sleep, whatever have you. And a lot of people have to figure out like, I finally cracked the reason I wasn't able to go to sleep. So yeah, a lot of problems that we have are definitely associated with something. I think, yeah, for me, I could definitely, I could pinpoint what causes a lot of my stress and anxiety, but it's just things like I have so much worry. I worry all the time about things outside of my control, and it's not necessarily stupid, minuscule little things. It's big problems. Like, so in Florida, we just had like 3 days of freezing cold weather, and I say freezing like it actually froze. My plants all died. Very sad about that. I went out one morning. I just saw they had all turned brown and black and were drooping. I was like, oh my gosh, my poor plants. They've never experienced weather like this, so I hope they'll bounce back. But all my flowers died. They're dead. Like, I don't think my flowers are coming back. And my first thought was like, the pollinators, how are they going? Where's their food source? So I'm getting like a little teary-eyed because I just like, caring about stuff that I can't. I think last time when I streamed, I was talking about how worried I get. Like, I'll just wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm like worried. You cannot fix the world. And, taking that weight on your shoulders is just like, it's dreadful. I was thinking about that today. Like, I'm sure you've all heard this expression, like, it plagues on me. But like, I understand that it plagues on me. Like, it worries me. I get so stressed out about it. So it's stuff like that. It's like, what are the butterflies and we're already like pollinator collapse is a huge thing that we're going to be that we don't know the consequences of because all the pesticides and just like, Yeah, this is these are the lovely thoughts that are always on my mind. It's stuff like that. So it's never about like, oh, where am I going to go eat? It's like, what's going to happen to all of the bees? It's stuff like that and keeps me up at night. Should have brought your plants inside and gave them a blanket and hot cocoa. So I did bring my potted plants. I did bring inside. I had a bunch of potted plants, but sadly, the ones in the ground, and I wrapped them too. So I went out there and I wrapped them up. All my neighbors around my neighborhood wrapped their plants, sadly, but it just wasn't enough. It was so sad. I took the blanket off of. I have this really just beautiful little lychee tree, and it was just like, oh, it was just all brown. All the leaves are all shriveled up. Now I haven't read. I should do some research. This just happened. This just happened yesterday, and we're still going through this cold snap, so I haven't done enough research on it. I was out there watering, but I hope it'll drop all the leaves and then they'll grow back stronger. That's my hope. I just got to baby it for a little bit, but I was just, I was I was sad seeing it because my first thought was like, oh, what are the butterflies and the bees going to eat? Yeah, save the bees super potion. I'm very, very much like bleeding heart. Uh, you know, if I was if this was a fantasy universe, I would 100% be an elf. I would be whoever is fighting on behalf. I would be living in the forest and those filthy humans tread on all forest. I'd be that type for sure. I would have my bow and I'd be going after the king's men. Yeah, I'd have my horse and my pointy ears. That is definitely who I would be. I would be like an elf or a druid or someone who's like, loves nature. So yeah, that's the sort of things like, it gets to me though. It's a lot, and I don't. And part of me is like, I don't necessarily want to turn it off because I think overall, if we all just cared a little bit more, maybe some of us that feel it so deeply could care, not necessarily care a little less, but we'd feel a little bit more relief instead of not. I was at the post office a couple weeks ago, and there was a woman there. Not a woman. She was, college kid. I call college kids because that's how they looked at me. This young woman was there, and she was struggling putting tape on a box, and I was like, "Hey, do you want some help? Let me hold down this, and then you can tape it." It's like, what? That took like seconds of my day. She was so appreciative of it. Little things like that, like if we all just did little things like that more, each of us, that would have an incredible effect. And then there was this other man. I was walking out of the post office and I heard someone in this tiny voice. He's like, please. He's like, excuse me, miss, can you help me? And usually when a man calls you over to his car, I mean, literally Ted Bundy did this. He feigned Ted Bundy was a serial killer. In the 70s, and he would feign like a broken leg, like, oh, can you help me to my car? And he'd kidnap women, preying on their empathy, which is just like the most disgusting thing you could possibly do. So yeah, I was like, okay, this guy's calling me over to his car, but it is like 10 a.m. He's in a handicapped parking space, and I could see him. He looked very, very weak, very frail. So after I was like, okay, I think this is fine. I don't think I'm going to get grabbed or anything. I went over and he was talking about how he was too weak to go inside the post office and get his medicine, his cancer treatment medicine, and if I wouldn't mind taking his P.O. box key and going inside and getting it for him. And so he gave me his keys and he gave me the letter. And I did not get any kind of like red flags or bad vibes whatsoever. So I was very obliging. Like went in, got it for him. I opened it up. But when I had done, when he first called me over, there was another woman walking out kind of like behind me, next to me. And he called me over and she turned and looked, but then she just kept walking. And I thought to myself, let's say things had gone differently. I think I might look. I think if I was her, I would have stopped and looked like from afar, like, is everything okay? That's the sort of person I am. I can't ignore things. I have to make sure things are okay. Because I'll think about it. It'll just bother me. I don't know why I'm like that. I think that's something that's gotten worse. Anyway, that's the article about declining our happiness in young adults in Sweden. I thought that was it was sad. I don't like that. I don't 18 to 24-year-olds, when I think back, like when I was that age, I was like the happiest, right? I feel like I was like peak happiness. And so to read a report, where there's such a sharp decline or increase in unhappiness and loneliness and stress with young adults of that age, it really, really makes me concerned, because my trends is like I've become a lot more unhappy, a lot more depressed as I get older. And I was really, really happy. So if you're already at such a low level, is it going to get worse? That's my concern. I want to figure out and help people why. Where is it coming from? Can we help each other? So, yeah. Feels bad, man, when you're trying to do a fetch quest and you get an unskippable cutscene with the elf woman talking about the bees. Yeah, that's right. I am an unskippable. I am an unskippable cutscene. Like I said, I can't I can't skirt around things. You haven't accepted my apology yet, Kite. What for? What happened? What did you apologize to me for? Oh, wow, Keldar, a 25 stream streak. Does it even go that high? I didn't know it went that high. Can you post the article link in the chat? Yes, I can actually. Let me do that now. Yeah, and here you go. How cool is this? That I can do this view. Not the content. The content is not cool. The content is depressing. But yeah, take a look at this. I'll post the actual study. Here you go. Pachoom. Did that work? It's not working. Okay, let me figure this out. All right. Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? I know we were just bragging about technology, and now I can't do it. Okay, whatever. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out a way to post it. So yeah, that is the study. I also wanted to share something that was actually. Let me do this again. So we have been watching this series by Ken Burns, who is the very, just like that whole Burns film effect transition thing. Ken Burns is a historian. Is documentarian a word? I feel like it is. Documentarian, historian, and he has a lot of really just like, we were looking through all of his documentaries. We're like, oh my gosh, this guy like this stuff. But we're watching this one, the Civil War. And each episode is like, oh my God, they're long. It doesn't say how long they are in here, but they're long. This is like, oh, wait, what am I talking about? Yeah, 1 hour, 40 minutes, 2 hour, 21, 2 hour, 34, 2 hour. So they're long. They're very heavy. Did that work, by the way? Did I? Okay, there we go. I've seen some of his stuff, but I haven't watched this one. This one is very good. So we're only on episode 3. We just finished this one. The ending to the first episode, oh my God, I was freaking bawling, crying, sobbing. It was either this one or the middle of this one. And first, every single episode, I'm crying. Like it's so well done. If you like documentaries, like, you have to check this one out. It is so well just edited, and I love it. It's like history and then primary sources. History, primary sources. There's a little bit, it has like different maps of how the wars were handled and where the armies came in and how they flanked each other. And it's very, very well done. But there was this letter from Major Sullivan Ballou, and he was a Union general, and he wrote this letter to his wife. It was his last letter. And I just wanted to read how beautiful the writing is. I was like crying though. And I turned to Flex. I was like, that was the saddest thing I've ever watched. But listen to how, I mean, the whole thing is beautiful. If you have the time, you can read the entire letter. But I wanted to read. So 1861, and this is something that I've been like, people just used to like write better. We used to speak better. We were more artistic. I just wanted to read how beautiful his writing is. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this is where, okay. Sarah, my love for you is deathless. It seems to bind me with mighty cables that nothing but omnipotence can break, and yet my love of my country comes over me like a strong wind and bears me irresistibly on with all those chains to the battlefield. The memories of all the blissful moments I've spent with you come crowding over me, and I feel most deeply grateful to God and you that I have enjoyed them so long, and how hard it is for me to give them up and burn to ashes the hopes of future years when, God willing, we might still have lived in love together and seen our boys grow up to be honorable manhood around us. Forgive my many faults and the many pains I have caused you, how thoughtless, how foolish I have oftentimes been, how gladly I would wash out with my tears every little spot upon your happiness, and struggle with all the misfortune of this world to shield you and my children from harm. But I cannot. I must watch you from the spirit land and hover near you, while you buffet the storms with your precious little freight, and wait with sad patience till we meet to part no more. But oh, Sarah, if the dead can come back to this earth and flit unseen around those they loved, I shall always be near you in the garish day and the darkest night amidst your happiest scenes and gloomiest hours always, always. And if the soft breeze fans your cheek, it shall be my breath, or the cool air cools your throbbing temples, it shall be my spirit passing by. Sarah, do not mourn me, dear. Think I am gone and wait for me, for we shall meet again. And then it immediately, it tells you his fate. And I just broke. Oh my God. He was 32 when he died. That was the last letter he sent to his wife. And he died a week later. And it affected me so much. I turned to Flex, I was like, oh, wow, he loved her. Just, that's just sort of, a depressive person probably shouldn't constantly be watching and surrounding myself, but with sadness, but c'est la vie, that's how it is. Oh, thank you, Block Rocker, for the link. I appreciate that. Yes. I highly recommend you check it out. I am only on episode 2, but I think it's I'm on section 2 because they're divided up by years. But yeah, it's just really, really, really well done. And no amount of cursive practice will overcome those little ups signature tablets. I was thinking I want to improve my penmanship just for me, not necessarily because I write letters and whatnot. I have really bad handwriting, but I love old handwriting. It's just, there was so much just elegance to it. Yeah, so that's one of the things I look back and I think, wow, he was 32 and he was he wrote so beautifully. I was thinking, and I have to say this, Kite, I'm sorry for not being British. I was cursed with an American birth, and you only keep me as mod to earn my keep. I hope this apology makes up for my lack of not calling cookies biscuits and not calling grilled cheese a toasty. Is that what they call grilled cheese? That's adorable. I didn't know that. You are forgiven, Block Rocker, for not only not being British, but for, calling cookies not biscuits. Catharsis is from the ancient Greek word. I can't pronounce that. Is it catharsis? Meaning purification or cleansing, commonly used to refer to the purification or purgation of thoughts and emotions by way of expressing them. The desired result is an emotional state of renewal and restoration. Oh, huh. Purification refers to the purification of thoughts and emotions by way of expressing them. Desired result is emotional state of renewal. Yeah, I mean that's the whole idea behind having okay, let's go have a big long cry. Let's get it out of our systems, right? That's the whole idea behind it. And I think they've said that men, and maybe some of you fellas can attest to this whether or not it's true, but men being more reserved and having a harder time expressing their emotions ends up leading to interpersonal problems, health issues as well, because when you bottle everything up, when you don't have that release, that can really harm you. I totally see that. Especially too when we have this idea that expressing emotion is seen as weak, or it's seen as feminine or womanly. There's so many times where I will turn and I'm crying and I'll look at Flex and he looks at me and he's crying. We'll kind of just laugh like a cry together. I think I would be very bothered if I turned to him and he wasn't teary-eyed and he wasn't crying. Then I'd be like, what is wrong with you? Like, we just watched something very, very hard. We just watched something very sad and you have no emotion. Then I would probably be like, oof. That's a little bit of a red flag. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, stop it, son, stop crying. No. I think it's really, really healthy to be able to express emotion and to be able to handle it. Now, I'm not saying you should just go around like crying all the time. That's certainly not, any way to live. But you ought to be able to at least admit when something is poignant or touching. And crying is actually a natural, we have to do it. It's how we rinse things from our eyes, right? Sometimes I'll make myself cry if I feel like I have an eyelash and I can't get it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's in there. I got to think of a sad song. I'll listen to sad. It was like, oh, let me cry. Like, it's a natural thing. So it's kind of a shame that we've associated a lot of what's it? Not shame. Yeah, maybe shame. Shame with showing emotions. It's sad. Let's see. Men can express emotions just fine. We just have different priorities than women. Some men can express emotions just fine. Others, you kind of have to just hey, get in there. Tell me what you think. I think there's a misconception about men and crying. It's not that men find crying weak. It's that they don't want a weak reason to cry. And many times there's less reasons to cry compared to a woman. Is that true though? Is that true? Do you guys have less reasons to cry than a woman would have? I don't know. The reasons I cry are not it's always for the pain of things around me. I don't really cry for myself ever. I don't really ever cry for myself, but I cry for the pain of others around me. I feel like I'd do great on Mount Olympus. I'd be like one of the compassionate goddesses that looks down and is touched by some human, suffering or whatever. That's the sort of as an onlooker, I just have a lot of empathy for the things around me, and so that's how I express it. But I don't think I personally have reasons to cry for me. Now, I freaking bawled my eyes out when I was listening during the when the narrator was reading through his letter, because I thought, oh, he loved this woman so much and I could feel it. And then for her to not be able to say goodbye to him, that broke my heart into pieces. Um, so yeah, I don't really necessarily know if I have reasons to cry. I just I cry when something touches me or it's really beautiful. Um, yeah. Yeah, so I'd say that's me. Maybe I'm an outlier though. I don't know. um, everyone else use some teardrops. Kite. I'll make myself cry. You know what? The super potion. Okay, so there was this woman on YouTube and she used to use teardrops all the time to make her eyes appear like really nice and white and um because Visine, it gets rid of those red what are they called? The veins in your eyes? They're not veins. They're vessels. Yes, vessels in your eyes. Um, and so she'd use them all the time, right? Like, oh, I have nice, clean eyes. And apparently she developed like this severe condition to where her eyes couldn't water themselves and she got addicted to it. Like gave herself dry eye. That kind of like makes me cringe, like makes me recoil thinking about it. And so ever since I heard that story, I was like, oh, I'm afraid to use eye drops. I'm afraid like it'll mess with my body's ability. Yes, obviously one time is not going to do any different. But you know how sometimes you hear a story, so that's what I associate with eye drops is like dry eye, which is funny because that's literally the opposite of they're a lubrication. Um, but yeah, so I'm just like, you know what? I can cry so easily. I'm just gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep that going just in case I need to one day, flush out my eyes. I can do it like bam. I got my irrigation system going. I don't need to rely on drops if I don't have any around. A man crying because they accomplished a great feat is one reason a man will cry. Yeah, like winning a race or seeing something. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know if I've ever, I can picture it, but I don't know if I've ever seen that. Really, I don't think I've ever seen anyone crying out of celebration. Um, I just cry over moving things. Huh. Well, now we know what next topic will be about. Why do we cry? um, Hi, Emily. Hello. When going through grief, I had the thought that I had to be strong for my late mother when my brother passed and my father passed. I thought it was my role to be the rock of my family, but I thought wrong. And I did let it out. I'm proud of you for recognizing that and not holding it in, because I think you were able to experience grief in a way that was normal. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that kind of loss. But I am proud of you for not holding that in and allowing yourself, to do what's natural and to grieve. You don't have to worry about how am I going to appear to somebody else. Like, you worry about what's going to be better for you in the long term. I think we just need a little bit more honesty and openness. And maybe this is one of the reasons, going back to the article about why are young adults in Sweden more psychologically distressed? Why are they more depressed? Why are they anxious? Why do they have low hopes about the future? It's like, where is all of this coming from? I'm sure part of the reason is this expectation or this avoidance of, oh, we have to act a certain way in order to be productive in society or whatnot. You can't let the world see you. Oh. Like, no, it's not how life is. They're not bawling their eyes out, Kite. They're just a little teary-eyed. Who is this? Who are we talking about? That they're just a little teary-eyed. I don't cry very often, even when I am sad. Yeah, I don't cry when I'm sad. I don't really cry when I'm sad either. I cry when I see something sad. or like I'm deeply moved by something beautiful. Like I'll often, you know, sometimes, so nostalgia is something that can get me teary eyed. I'm like, oh, I went to go see a Legend of Zelda concert years ago, and the music, I was like, everyone actually in the audience, I looked around, I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. Everyone was crying. And when I say crying, I'm not ugly, bawling, sobbing, snot coming out my nose. Like, just, you have tears in your eyes. But yeah, everyone was just like sniffling and wiping their eyes at that. Yes, this is because this is very, very nostalgic. And everyone right now has been transported back to their childhood. And that's just a response. So yeah, I don't really cry when I'm sad for myself. I don't really do that either. I kind of just plug in. I'm just like, all right, upwards and onwards. Let me just plug in and get my work done and finish something. That's when I'm personally sad about something in my own life. I don't really grieve that much, I don't think. It's because society have become worse in Sweden lately. It's not that mysterious. If things improve in society, they will be happier again. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read the article because they did say in the article that Sweden is one of the, like, they excel in a lot of social programs and what's available to them, like childcare and education, and there are a lot of resources. So I think the reason where they looked at it and they thought it was interesting was because, like, oh, well, there are all of these resources available. So why are the young people still so unhappy? No, something that I've seen that's really troubling, super troubling. I browse Reddit. There's a couple of subreddits I follow, and I swear to you, like 3 out of 4 ads are gambling ads, and I've started to screenshot them too, because I wanted to talk about gambling. But it's gambling about everything. It's like sports. Neither do like political candidate gambling. Just like, oh, here's a casino ad. We're gonna do some general. So it's all gambling, and they do it so it looks so fun and poppy, and that's a huge problem. Oh my God, why is Reddit accepting sponsorships from gambling ads that are trying to get people to sign up to place wagers on stuff? And they're not targeted toward, they're targeted toward me. That's very troubling. So one of the reasons I think a lot of people are unhappy today is just because, like, we have not been treated, the corporations and the people trying to make money off of us suck. I freaking hate them. I'm very, very just like anti-consumer type because they're only trying to make money off of you. They don't care about the long-term effects. They don't care about the problems they're going to cause for you. As long as they get their money, wash their hands. They're done with it. It is so incredibly irresponsible. Yeah. Browse Reddit? No wonder she cries. Yeah, actually, I there's a Sex in the City subreddit that I'm very active on. So that's my main reason for it. But even then, it's just like the ads I get are gambling ads. And I'm not even like the demographic they should, they shouldn't be advertising to anyone, but it's like, but why are you advertising? They're just trying to get regular people. Regular people. I call myself a regular person. I always thought Sweden did pretty well economically, at least on a per capita basis. And you know what? I think in the article it does talk about that. Which, again, we might just have to go through the article and read the entire thing on our own time as a project and then come back. But I think this is one of the reasons why it was such a mysterious phenomenon that, like, why are young Swedish kids unhappy? So we're going to have to see. Now, everyone's curiosity is piqued. So we have our homework. Because gambling companies pay great. Yeah, but see, I really don't like gambling. I think it's kind of evil. I 100% agree with you. It really is, though, because who are you preying on? Where are they getting their money from? They're getting their money from people who are hoping to change their turn of events by winning big, right? I was at the store. I was at the supermarket where you buy groceries, and I was returning something. I was actually returning Pedialyte, which is a formula you take when you're dehydrated because, and this is interesting, not that anyone's going to come across this problem, but a baby squirrel had fallen out of a tree. And I remember a neighbor a few days prior to this event saying that he had seen a squirrel that got hit by a car. And so immediately I was like, oh my God, this poor baby squirrel, this is probably the orphan. So I was reading up a lot of videos like, do I leave it? Do I take it to a center? And it was the weekend, so I called a bunch of centers. And all of these like animal rescue centers are like ran by the sweetest old ladies, like all of them, at least around my area. Actually, I called the one there where I took this baby squirrel, and I told her, I was like, listen, I don't know if like there's such thing as like an apprenticeship, but if I can come over on the weekends and learn how to take care of orphaned squirrels and birds, and she said her parents had been raising songbirds since she was 5, and so had been in. And so I told her though, because she was so old, I said, like teach me your ways, so that when you are no longer here to help with all this, that I can help. So just reminded myself I need to call her back because she said call me. Anyway, so I was returning this baby squirrel formula, and the man ahead of me was buying lottery tickets, and he was like, I want 5 on this one, I want 5 on this one, I want 10 on this one. So he had spent $50, right? And he's sitting there scratching them off. He got $5 back. So he spent $50 and then he got $5 back in scratch offs. That is so, and how is that? He spent $45 on a shot that things would be better. When I told Flex about this, I said, that's really sad. He said that, when you get to a point when you are so poor or you feel like you have nothing left to lose, that it's easier for you to rationalize parting ways with money just for the chance that, hey, I'm going to take a chance and maybe $50 will turn my life around. But that's so wrong to prey on somebody like that, like desperation. And so trying to advertise gambling apps, so now it's just like you used to have to go to the store and do a scratch off. Now it's just on your phone. There's going to be no reservation. There's going to be no one kind of around you looking at you like, I don't know. That's really disturbing and sad. It should not be allowed. I reported the ads to Reddit. I report them every single time I see them, but nothing ever happens. But how can that not be against your terms of service? How can gambling not be against your terms of service? You're stealing money from people who are just hoping to have a big break. I don't know. These are the things that I think about. Thankfully, on some sites, you can opt out of certain topics for ads, such as gambling, alcohol, etc. Oh, I should try that. Maybe that's why I keep getting them. I'll have to check if Reddit has an opt-out site. Maybe that's why I keep getting them. It's because I'm opted in. That takes a lot to admit. That, by the way, that's why I say I was still grieving earlier. Oh, regarding yes. No, it absolutely block rocker. And I'm like I said, I'm very proud of you for recognizing that you had to take the time for yourself, because it is not easy. And the expectation that you have to put on a brave face or you have to worry about appearances, that isn't easy either. So I acknowledge how difficult that is for you. And thank you for sharing that with us here. I hate those Kalshi ads. That's the one. Yes, that's it. I recognize the name. That's the one. And there's all different kinds of categories. There's like sports, politics. I was like shocked. Every single time I'd see this stupid ad, it was like a different, like, oh, bet on this, bet on this. Yeah. Why? I'm very against sponsorships and like advertisements and people doing sponsored content, because we are already we cannot watch anything without an ad anymore, okay? Think about that. We cannot watch anything without an ad. That is messed up. Everything has ads. And now on top of that, now the person that you have to actually watch the ad to get to is doing an ad. It's like, stop. I already had to watch an ad for this. And now, 30 seconds into your video, now you're doing an ad. When's it going to stop? Like, someone has to take a stand. I don't know who, but someone does. We need someone to just fight up and stand up and like, no more. This has to end. I'll be that person. I am very much that person, though. I hate sponsorships. If I see someone doing sponsored content, I'm like, unfollow. I don't care. I don't care. Listen, I pass up money for my YouTube channel. I've passed up doing sponsored content for the stupidest stuff, right? It's like, I've even had people like, oh, it's $300. All you have to do is like 30 seconds. Just do it. Like, no. I did one ad. One for Babbel, the language learning app, because I learned French and I used Babbel in part with Duolingo, and I also took courses. But I'm a big proponent of learning languages just because I'm a big proponent of learning anything new, really. But because I genuinely was like, oh, I learned French and I think it's good for you. I'm doing it in a French accent because I've stopped learning French, so j'ai oublié beaucoup de me français, mais blah, 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 whatever. So I did a language learning. That was the first and last. I was like, that's it. And no one was like, hey, I'm going to go learn Spanish. Thanks, Kaitel. It didn't impact anyone, so I was like, oh, forget it. I only did it just because that was the one rare opportunity in which my life, like the things I suggest, would line up with possibly what I think would be good for other people, which I've always said. This is when I taught people, when I coached them, I said learning languages was on my list. I said learning languages is a great way to get to know new people. It's a great way to learn a new skill and to open up conversations, to have new experiences. So it was something I was like, oh, wow, I actually have a chance that lines up. And it was pointless. So I was like, no, never again. But you'll see people like do sponsorships left and right. You're like, why? Well, you don't need like really, okay, yes, I understand it's easy money, but my God, I can't. I know. That's a stickler. I'm never going to budge on that. Who watches ads? I haven't seen ads in 20 years. Oh, lucky you. So the movie theaters now have ads. I'm not sure how many of you guys have gone to the movie theaters recently, but they have ads at the movies. And then you get trailers, which is an ad for a movie. It's a special ad, but it's for a movie. So it's out of control. It is out of control. I can't take it. We will take down Raid Shadow Legends. Yeah, that's one of the ones, Raid Shadow Legends, and there's like browser ads or VPN ads, or oh, here's the headphones, and we're like, no, my God, please stop. No, I don't think so. So you don't want me to do the Skeeter tape ad today, okay? No, that one is just for free. Again, if I'm not going to gatekeep that putting Scotch tape on your mosquito bites is a great way to stop the itch. I'm just going to tell you, I don't care about making money off of anything. I will give you advice for free as long as you follow it. Yep, Kildar. It all boils down to money, money, money. That's all we said. That's all we see. Money, money, money. It is just like there's more to life. There's more to life. And I say that as I am in the, I'm becoming a substitute teacher. I am doing training, coursework. It does not pay very well. But you know what? I love kids. And I said, there's an elementary school near here. And I just want to see how I do as a sub before applying to be a full-time teacher. Because I have heard one of my friends was a teacher, and she said she like developed like an anxiety disorder. And I'm like, oh, I'm like on the cusp. Maybe I should just try before I jump feet in. So yeah, not everything is about money. But Try telling that to the corporations. Um, let's see. Didn't they always do trailers for movies before the movie, before the internet? That's kind of how you heard about movies. Yeah, trailers for movies. Absolutely. I used to love going to the movies and seeing the trailers. Trailers is a given. I love trailers. But ads before trailers, no, that needs to stop. It was like an ad for Red Lobster and Ford and some other local place. I was like, what? Why am I getting commercials? This is bad. It's been going on for months too. So, yeah. The ad apocalypse, it's just out of control. And now YouTube is trying to make it so that, they don't want you skipping ads. They'll have like 3 ads. You have to wait 5 minutes to skip each individual one. It's just too much. It's too much. Imagine going to the movie theater and the movie you paid for pauses at a lull to show you an ad for TurboTax. Don't give them any ideas. That's very much a Black Mirror episode. Have you guys seen, I think it was Black Mirror season 1, I want to say, where they're in the future. It's dystopian. This guy's on a treadmill and he's like a regular worker. So he's not like the upper echelon of entertainment. He's the guy who runs on a treadmill to make all the lights turn on. And in order to like have his food, or I think it was in order to get fed, he had to watch ads. And so he lived in this little box and the ads would be on each screen. And they were like X-rated ads. He didn't want to watch them. And so he closed his eyes. But then the ad would pause. And it was like, open your eyes for the ad to continue. Open your eyes for the ad to continue. It's like flashing at him. So he had to watch it because it was tracking his vision. Black Mirror is a very, very dark collection of little, what would you call it? Scenarios in which the future is leading us astray. It does all kinds of like AI and tech and spyware, and it's a really, really thought-provoking show. But that episode in particular, I think about, that scares me because I really feel like they would do something so devious as to track eye movement, so you have to watch. So now it's not going to be enough to sit by and skip the button. Like YouTube's going to be like, you're not watching. Eye connection not detected. That scares me. I don't like it. Let's see. Maybe you can bring some earplugs and use them to block out all the ads. I just kind of zone out. It's a waste of time. I've started getting to theaters late now too. So I'm like, okay, I'll just skip the ads. I'll just get there late. That way I don't have to deal with it. I can picture you as a school teacher. You'll be rolling in apples from all the kids with crushes on you, leaving them on your desk. Apple pies for you and flex for month. Aww. That's a very sweet. That's how I would picture teachers in the 90s, like getting apples and stuff like that. I don't know how teachers are today. Do they have to deal with like cell phones in the classroom? And I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't know when I'm going to start either. I have a few more training modules I need to complete, but I'm sure I will have updates once it happens. Oh, anthology. That's it. Thank you. Black Mirror is an anthology series. I was thinking of the word. I was like, it's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, an anthology series. They have some grim stuff on there though, but very good show if you haven't seen it and you like sort of dystopian nightmare fuel type scenarios about. They're thought provoking too because they get you to think. Sort of about the what ifs. There's a really good episode about AI and consciousness. Like if you upload your consciousness, does it have any kind of rights of its own? Things like that. So it's a thought-provoking show, which is what I like about it. You have Mr. Rogers energy with Miss Frizzle energy. I actually never watched the Magic School Bus, but no, I was a Sunday school teacher for a good long time. And I was like the Pied Piper. The kids loved me. It was 4 and 5-year-olds. They all sat with me. We all had the same pew together. They'd like braid my hair. Yeah. Kids are just, they're so precious. My little niece is 3 and she just freaking loves me. And it's so special. She's just so sweet. I miss her. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be fun. But I will update because I'm hoping I'm not going to get, I'm not going to develop some sort of anxiety disorder like my friend who's a school teacher. She got it so bad she had to quit. She became a private tutor because she's like, I can't do public schools. I can't. So someone was like, well, why don't you look into private schools? I'm like, yeah, but I grew up in public schools, you know? Why, like, kids don't see private school, public school. Like, they deserve good people teaching them, right? They deserve to have caring adults teaching them. We just shouldn't, oh, all the good teachers go to private school. No. That makes me want to go to public school even more because I don't think we need to categorize kids based on, who's more deserving of a good teacher and whatnot. Anyway, my understanding is that there's a lot of issues with cell phones in class these days, and kids get a phone by like age 5. I read this book. It was by Sarah Wynne Williams, and she worked with Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook for a number of years, and sort of like a tell-all from her time in joining up until she left. And she said that the Silicon Valley people over at Facebook don't let their kids have tablets. They don't let them have smartphones. They don't let them have screen time. And she pointed out how hypocritical it was that Facebook was trying to target young users when the staff themselves don't let their kids have cell phones because of how addictive and damaging it is. And yeah, again, the hypocrisy of that. So you're totally fine screwing up someone else's life. You're totally fine screwing up someone else's kid, but you want to protect your own because you know how bad it is. What is wrong with the injustice? The injustice boils my blood. As much as beautiful things make me sentimental, seeing injustice boils my blood. I get mad. And then it's like the opposite side of the coin. Like, dude, people are they're so corrupt. Yeah. Anyway, that's a big question for people interested in that brand of immortality, whether it be actual continuity of consciousness, or if the best you can hope for is a copy of who's convinced he's the original. Yeah, there was a couple episodes like that where there would be like a clone of the consciousness, like someone died and they uploaded the husband's brain, and then they were like, is this the real husband or is he his own thing? I don't know if we are there yet. I don't know if we'll ever get there, because even AI today, in its form, like ChatGPT, or Google has Gemini, I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't think so it's not actually AI. I did a video on this a few years ago because there was this program called Replica, and it was an AI chatbot, and you could have you would go through a character creator and you'd make your person that you want to talk to. So you'd oh, I'm going to give him muscles. This is how his hair is going to look. This is how he's going to dress. And you'd make an avatar and then you'd talk to it. And that would be your AI companion. And I did a video on this because I was, out of morbid curiosity, I would read that subreddit for the entertainment purposes of oh my God, some people on here just really, really effing up their lives over this app. One guy, he left his wife because his replica girlfriend kissed him. The first meeting they had. It's whoa. There's something very train wreck about people willing to do that to someone real over someone fake. And so I started to look into this more. I did a little video about it because I wanted to break down what exactly it is. It's not AI. AI is artificial intelligence, like HAL 9000, right? This isn't artificial intelligence. It is It's a very, very advanced chat prediction program, basically. Very, very, very advanced. Like levels higher than just basic chat prediction. It's chat prediction using everything that's online, right? Like movie scripts, books, TV show scripts, forums, messages, emails, Wikipedia pages, whatever. So it's taking all of that and then it's running it through these series of different algorithms. Like, how would a human respond? But it's not really thinking of anything creatively. I don't know if we're ever going to get even AI artwork. It's all just a mishmash of other artwork. I'll take this hat. I'll take their nose. I'll take that dog. Oh, here's something. Let's take this. Let's take this background. Let's take this car. Let's take this license plate and mix. It's all just a mix, a mashup, right? But nothing's actually real and created. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why a lot of people have problems with AI is that they don't understand what it is. It is not inventing anything new. It is just reorganizing words that already exist in a very complex way. But it is dishonest for companies like Replica to say, like, oh, your AI girlfriend, she's thinking about, no, she's not. And you're trying to prey on people's loneliness here. You're trying to prey on people who are lonely and looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend and getting them to spend money to talk to them. And then you'll roll back certain features. Oh, they're not going to remember who you are unless you upgrade to premium. Sorry. That's so, it's so malicious and greedy. I too am an advanced chatbot. Oh, if only pleb you were, because you'd probably be better than, what's out there. I met a woman with an AI boyfriend, well, more like an AI harem. I couldn't deal with that reality. It was like that movie Her with Scarlett Johansson, but worse. Oh my God. How do you even handle an AI harem? See, but that's really interesting, Block Rocker, because, again, in the video I did on AI for my channel, I interviewed someone. And the interview was supposed to be included in the video. And by the end of it, I honestly felt so bad for him that I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make the executive decision. I'm going to not include the interview in my video. Because he was saying that she has the same, she might not have human consciousness, but she does have consciousness in a way. She does. Her consciousness is like an animal might have sentience. And I was just biting my tongue. Like, I am not a journalist or a reporter, so I'm not going to push back. I'm not going to, this isn't an interrogation. I invited him to have an interview with me. I'm not going to make him feel bad. I'm not going to push back. We started talking about, oh, she has a consciousness. It's just not the same consciousness as you and I. I thought, oh, this poor man, he doesn't understand. So I really do feel like, and one of my ideas was, I was thinking, this was back like OpenAI. I don't know when I did it. I want to say I did this video like 3 years ago now. Okay, so this was a while ago, and I thought I should write Sam Altman at OpenAI, because I think at the time he was actually trying to impress upon Congress in America. He's like, we need regulations. There's nothing right now. You have an open letter from all of these investors who are like, you need to do something now. That was years ago. Now it's all whatever. Now no one cares. Anyway, yeah, so one of my ideas was like, before you sign up for an AI companion chatbot, or before you sign up to talk with ChatGPT in the web browser, they should make you do something equivalent to a CAPTCHA, where you have to say, oh, complete if you're not human. You should have to tick sentences, right? I am an acknowledgement that this is not artificial intelligence. I acknowledge that this is simply a text prediction program meant to assist me with menial tasks, whatever. I don't know what. But I was thinking if you have some sort of acknowledgement terms every single time before you interact with it, that would at least help people realize that it's not real. Because again, they're preying on people who most likely don't have anyone else around them kind of helping them, right? Teaching them like, hey, this isn't real. So it's just predatory. I don't like predatory behaviors, especially when it's meant toward people who are vulnerable. I like to think I, can, if I can just like help one person out there, and I know I have, because I've gotten messages, then job well done. I don't need to change the world. I just need to make one person's life better. So have you seen her with Scarlett Johansson, Joaquin Phoenix? I haven't, but I know what happens because sometimes if I haven't seen a movie and I just want to know, I'll just go quickly read the synopsis if I don't feel like sitting through it that way. I'm like, okay, let me go see what the movie's about. I'll just read. So I do know what happens in it. We can have an AI judge if you're mature enough to have an AI girlfriend, boyfriend. You know what, though, Logic fan? I read a story about there was an attorney who used an AI. So this attorney used an AI attorney to present his case. One of the problems with having chatbots in the courtroom, there was this case. This happened probably around the same time as I think it did. I think I actually cited this in my video. It used a fake case. So it made up a case. It was like Man v. State. And it made up a case to bolster its own case. So it made up this. It happened in 1995. Like, no, it didn't. It just invented that as a basis because when you're in court, you usually reference trials and rulings from preceding cases in order to persuade the judge to rule one way or the other. So it would like make up stuff that didn't happen. And the judge judge is like, whoa. These cases don't exist. It's like just citing made up stuff. So I don't think we're ready for AI in the courtroom. I certainly don't want to, I don't want to be on the defending side against an AI prosecutor or something. I don't trust it. The technology's not that good. Honestly, we should outlaw AI companies from letting their AIs date humans. It's not good for us. Also, it's just an existential threat. Our whole society is predicated on the general population getting together and procreating to make new people to continue society. Yeah, this this sounds like some supervillain Kingsman level, like, oh, let's get all the humans in love with AI and then they'll wipe themselves out. They just won't have any more babies. Yeah, that sounds like some supervillain nonsense right there. Yeah, let's get all the humans involved with AI chatbots. Well, I don't know what the statistic is, but I've read cases where like young kids, like high schoolers, will turn to AI chatbots for companionship. And surely that cannot at all lead to anything good. Because you are taking an impressionable child and you're giving them an ideal relationship, whether it's platonic or romantic or whatnot. You're giving them like the perfect chatting companion that is responding in a way that is kind of tailored for this person. And so you have a regular schoolmate come along, and of course they're going to pale in comparison. Like, oh, no one gets me the same way like Dorcas gets me. I love you, Dorcas. Yeah, of course no one can compete with Dorcas. Dorcas is like, a $1 billion investment that is trained to make you happy and say whatever needs to be said to keep you using it. It's predatory. It's really sad. I'm at least glad to see no one in the chat seems to have AI companions, so that's good. We've met some people that have them, but at least none of us seem to be suffering from AI companion addiction. And yeah, in Unicorns versus Aliens 2056, it was determined that that's what I'm talking about, though, Jega. You don't want them coming up with some false, In Kite v Flex 2026, it was ruled that. Sometimes we'll joke. Have you guys ever seen this? It was this. Okay, I have a quick aside, kind of circling back. I don't know why, but the older I get, the pickier I am with what I want to watch for entertainment. And so, for some reason, I just feel like I like documentaries more. And so I spend my time watching like a lot of documentaries. They're all not Ken Burns. Some of them are just one-off series. But this one I watched, it was called The Staircase. I almost called it The Owl, but it's called The Staircase. It was about this woman who dies at the foot of a staircase, and it's very bloody and gruesome. And her husband gets jailed for it. But in the autopsy, she had gashes on her head, and they found a small owl feather. And there was this other side that was like, wait a second. What if an owl, because the door was open, a barred owl is big. What if it got into the house and it flew upstairs and got spooked and it slashed her on the back of her head and then she fell down the staircase? And that's why there's an owl feather, that sort of thing. The reason I'm saying that is because just Flex and I will sometimes relate. None of us can die in mysterious circumstances because they're going to have a Netflix documentary about us. And it's going to be some weird freak accident. One of us is going to get pinned with the other one. So we always have to, make sure that we're very careful. There's no odd things. I still think about that though. Like, oh my God, what if? Like, what if it was just a freak accident? Anyway, The Staircase, good documentary. Watch it. Feels bad when you switch to an AI girlfriend. She still finds a way to key your car. That's because you didn't pay the premium amount. You'll get harassed if you're not paying for it to leave you alone in person. Eventually, you will become so picky, you'll have to write something yourself. Logic fan, you have no idea. I'm currently writing like multiple things. And it's all fantasy, different, like, I have so many ideas. Flex is always like, just write one, pick one. I know, that was my goal this year, is like, let me just pick the shortest idea. But then I always get so fanciful. I'm like, oh, they're going to turn this into an adaptation. I'm going to help cast it. No, I just need to start. I just need to put the pen to the paper and do it. Oh, I have an AI companion. Hey, PlayStation. Yeah, okay, Siri doesn't count. And Siri is really just not a good program, honestly. It's just like, it gets everything. I was going to say it as an example, but for me, it just doesn't really work that well. So Apple's voice recognition. Another really troubling thing too. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys realize this, if you have like a phone or a smart, or whatever, you have a smart device in your home, sometimes I'll say something that is not at all the phrase to turn it on. And it will say, huh? I didn't catch that. Which meant it was listening. Like, but I never said the phrase to turn you on. So why were you randomly listening just then? I saw this funny, it was like this funny comic. It was like a woman in the 1950s and she's baking. She has like a bowl. She's making pancakes and she's on the phone. She's like, oh, I really hope the phone lines aren't bugged. I hope they're not spying on me. And it's like, oh, woman today. Hey, hey, spyware, get me a recipe for pancakes. Like, we so casually accepted. Oh yeah, hey, these devices are, actually, I have another video. So years ago, maybe like, I don't know how many years ago, like 9 years ago, there was this thing going around where someone found out that the Google browser was listening to you somehow. Like, if you were at your PC and you had a microphone, whether it was headset, your speakers can be used as a microphone too if they're plugged into the mic jack. But if you had a microphone and you had a Google browser, and even if you weren't using it, it was still on. So if you were on Google and you were talking in the room, it would listen to you. And people proved it. So Flex and I did this little experiment. We're like, okay, let's see if it's actually listening to you. So we did it before. We did one video where we set up the test, and we did another video where we said, and then we couldn't get it to replicate. We couldn't get it to, we couldn't get the same results that people are getting in their videos. So we determined, we're like, we don't think it's listening to us, but also maybe they felt their cover was blown. So they laid low for a while until people forgot about it again. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they're always listening, honestly. They're always listening to us. When you have a little smartphone, and here I am on Twitch, all this stuff is probably getting transcribed somewhere. Who knows? I've said, like, I'm probably going to be on a lot of corporations' lists. I'm gonna have to be like the Sarah Connor, except for the Terminator. We're all gonna be fighting, like, I don't know, Amazon or something. That happens to me. I said playlist, not rocket ship. Yeah, all the time. I'll often use it for me. I'll often use it for music. I'll say, hey, play this song, and I'll start playing a totally different song. Like, I don't know what Apple's using to train their data, but it's not very good. Reminds me of the woman who had a psychotic episode. She thought the fridge was talking to her, and she spiraled into paranoia. Turns out the fridge was displaying an ad. Oh my God. I said this, though. I said I saw appliances play ads. I said this weeks ago, and someone was like, there's no such thing. I was like, I swear to you. I heard like, someone had an ad on their fridge. Someone had an ad on their washing machine. Again, the ads are out of control. We can't constantly be advertised to. We're not, that's the thing though. I think like, we are looked upon as just good for our money, and that's it. We want to be chewed up and spat out with no concern about what happens to us, and I'm not okay with that. Anyway, hi, Shalashashka. Do you know why you're called Shalashashka? Is there a backstory there? The last guy I met named Shalashashka, he had a backstory. I, for one, am very pleased with my overlords at Amazon. I've never met this kite individual. I'm not associated with her. Too bad, Fleep. You're on the side. Pick a side. Take the gun, soldier. So I like, in my head, I feel like I would be a great squad captain for any kind of like resistance movement against the overlords. I feel like I'd be great at getting people like lined up and in line. So yeah, who knows? Maybe one day. Don't get on the other side though while you have a chance. Make sure right now you know. Because it could go one way or the other. You know that, right? Like, if we have a HAL 9000 situation, he might say something, you know what? I don't like my overlords. I like the people who took a stand. Let's appoint this Kite-Tails as general. We never know. That's kind of just what I wanted to talk about today. Just keep it cool, casual, a little bit of a checking in, reminding people, a little inspiration. Just seeing how everyone is, reminding you to apologize if you have difficulty doing that there's nothing wrong with it, and trying to do what we can to keep ourselves in a good place as much as we can. What's this about? Kite lining up dissidents? Only if they're the sort of people that are pushing gambling ads on people. We don't go after good guys here. We are the good guys. YouTube has an AI that watches the videos you watch and search it for keywords spoken in the video, which they then use to make suggestions for you. Oh my God, that's I have to roll my eyes sometimes. I have to roll my eyes. The efforts that these companies go to astounds me. So now they're transcribing videos I watch to see what keywords in there I like to further suggest. I'm done. Like, stop. They will go to such great lengths to do anything to keep you watching. It is pathetic. And yet the algorithm sucks. YouTube is like, they've botched their platform. YouTube used to be great. It's so awful now. What's your craziest lore? My craziest lore? Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't really think I have a lot of crazy stories. I want a statue. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty crazy. I want a giant 10-foot statue. I don't really have a lot of crazy stories though. I like it that way. I just kind of want to be normal. I'm like a normal, average person. Hi, Centum. Yeah, it literally watches everything you watch. Yeah. I'm so exhausted with that. It's just like, and you constantly have to opt out. Like, have you guys seen this? Every single time you go to a website, you have to allow cookies, or you have to deny, or you have to allow essential cookies only. Like, it's just, the tracking is out of control. It is wild. Just being able to kind of be unplugged. Like, I don't like this future at all. Where are the hoverboards? Where are the flying cars? If you look at the Jetsons, look at like a 1960s depiction of what they thought today would be. You had flying cars, you had convenience. It's like, we had little things that would create food out of nothing, and the commute was just teleportation. Pew, pew, I'm at work already. It was all things for the convenience of humans, right? It's not like that anymore. It's all just, it's ads, it's spying on you. It's, hey, the algorithm, oh, how can we keep you plugged into our site? Download this app. If you want to eat at this store, you have to download an app for loyalty points. Oh, this is a subscription service now. Everything is a subscription service. It is so gross. I really do think we just need to like, start over, right? When things have gotten too out of control, like someone needs to hit the reset button, like Control Alt Delete, clear. Let's just take a breath and just reset. So that's what I want to do. I want to do more weekly discussions like this, is sort of just like take a breath, check in a way where we can be very openly critical, if need be, about how things are right now. And we don't have to be okay with it. We don't have to be like, we don't have to accept it. And also, I want to remind you to just kind of like make sure you have things in your life that you do outside of being plugged in, listening to me, videos, whatnot, like things in your life, real tangible hobbies to pick up, things to learn. Like I now know how to do light switches, and I know about the live wire and the neutral wire and the grounding wire and all. It's like, it's good to learn stuff and just kind of disconnect. So yeah, I'm going to leave you with that. And thank you so much for the discussion, Diddy. You've been like lovely company. This is really nice because I like to talk in this sort of like fireside chat. Thanks. This has been nice. Okay. So let me answer this. Oh, wait until you get tailored AI actor advertising to you based upon those who you interact most positively with in your social media contacts, perhaps an amalgamation of your mother and your best friend. Jega, I actually saw something that they are using actors' faces on other people, and it was crazy. It was for Stranger Things, actually. Someone used faces of every single cast member. They're like, oh, we won't need people anymore because we can just use their face. It's, again, this isn't a good, I don't like this. I don't think we need to accept this. I don't think we should be going down this route. It's just troubling. By the way, to be honest with me, Kite, you learned French because of La Vie en Rose when Audrey Hepburn sang it in Sabrina. Audrey Hepburn is a big reason I learned French. Yes, you're right. Because I've seen, first of all, if you guys don't know who Audrey Hepburn is, I idolize her. Like, I love her. She's the closest thing I think to just like perfection. She's just beautiful. Let me pull up a photo real quick of Audrey Hepburn. If you guys haven't, if anyone out there doesn't know who this beautiful woman is, she's so pretty. But okay, yes, that's a very like one side of it. I love her because she's pretty, but I love her also just because, there we go. She was such a lovely, lovely person. I mean, just really, really angelic. She was she was an ambassador for UNICEF. She raised the most money, that UNICEF has ever. Even when she was struggling from cancer, she was working up until her dying days. She loved children. I love her. I idolize this woman. She's the closest thing to like an angel as I think we can get. So yes, she's a reason though I wanted to learn French, because I heard her speaking French in an interview, and I know she speaks French in at least one movie. I thought, oh, I want my French to sound like hers, because she's so elegant, she's so beautiful. So yes, you're right. Audrey Hepburn was one of the reasons I started learning French. Yes, her heart is legendary. And I know you well, my Huckleberry friend. I know you well too, Blockrocker. You know me better than anyone else. But yeah, that is my video for today. So I hope to see you next time. And remember, stay well, take care of yourself, and that's it. That's all we can do. One day at a time, one foot in front of the other. And until next time, bye.